a little bit. I don't know.
10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskin's here with meteorologist Rick Kirby as well.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. All right. Let's get started with what we got going on here today. We have tropical storm still, Elsa. And I'm going to pull up your comments here right now, so I just want to make sure everybody can hear us well. I see Trina out there, Nancy's out there, Priscilla's in Edgewater. Can you guys hear me fine? Just want to make sure so we don't start talking here and nobody can hear me. I think you can. I see the words going here from text to speech, so that's good. Speech to text.
Bobby, I did an update for about 10 minutes on mute.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Al, how's it going, Al? You're in Sarasota. You have a tropical storm watch in effect and even a storm surge watch in effect.
Yeah.
So we're kind of waiting here again to get some people in Chiefland, Florida. Patricia, you're way up there. That's good, though. Brooksville as well. Okay, guys, here we go. That's what we're looking at right now. Let me zoom down in here. I want to get off of this and get you started right here. This is the very latest. 5 p.m. numbers came in, and with 5 p.m. we get a new track, we get new watches and warnings and all that kind of stuff. So that's where we're at right now. The 5 p.m. numbers include 60-mile-per-hour winds. Okay, it's looking pretty decent. You can see here on the satellite and radar. Let me back up one more time. I want to go over some of the numbers. It is moving to the west-northwest, or now the northwest, at 14 miles per hour. So that's actually kind of a good thing because it's a little more north than it is west, or from what it has been, right? Mm-hmm. And we want it to go further north. It'll scrape Cuba a little bit more, and the turn to the north and east, as you see it recurving over Florida, the further north it can go in the next 12 hours, the more to the right.
The sooner it could make that turn, right?
The sooner it can make that turn. Yeah. So, yeah, northwest is good. It has slowed. It's down to 14 miles per hour. If you've been watching, this thing's been doing anywhere from 26 to 30 miles per hour. That's a really high speed for a forward movement. Pressure's down a touch.
I was just going to say, and the slower it goes, the more time it spends interacting with the land of Cuba, the more Cuba could disrupt the organization of it.
100%. And like I said, we don't want it to really hit Cuba, but if you're in Florida, this thing going over top of Cuba would weaken it a little bit. Pretty decent convection. Some of the convection on the outside here has actually been from the heating of the day of the land. This is kind of misplaced here because it's a little bit higher than the surface. But the center is sitting down in here. You're going to watch it. See it moving in here, right in here, and then you've got convection on the outside right there. This is the visible satellite, and here it goes, doing this thing again. And I can't even control that. That's weird.
Nantucket.
Here's the track. Let's just get to that right now. You can see it's taking it out across Cuba tonight. Well, really tonight it's actually just offshore of Cuba. It's tomorrow morning, but that's Monday a.m. means about 2 a.m. Monday. So overnight tonight into tomorrow afternoon, it's scraping the central southern coast of Cuba. Tomorrow afternoon it will cross over Cuba, and then tomorrow evening it comes back out. That's not a lot of time over land. Now again, the center will be close, so the convection, we've had the highest winds on the north side of it the whole time. That part will be over land, so we'll have to see what that's going to do to it. Hopefully knock it down a little bit. And then as we get out to Tuesday night, or Monday night into Tuesday morning, I should say, now it's back out over the Gulf of Mexico, the Florida Straits, Gulf of Mexico, and then there you go. Coming up the west coast of Florida, overnight Tuesday night into Wednesday. Again, that's Wednesday about 2 a.m. with 60-mile-per-hour winds right near Pinellas County. Now the center, keep in mind, remember, the center can go anywhere in here for air over the last 2 years. It's about a third of the time the center ends up outside of this area, right? But 2/3 of the time the center would end up somewhere in here. So if the center's over here, that's better news for us because we'd be on the weaker side, on the left side. If it's out here, it might be a stronger system because it's out over the water. It has a better chance of getting a little bit stronger. So let's talk about that. It will move up to the north and the northeast eventually. This area has to be watched because if it gets out closer to here, it could actually flare up a little bit and have more winds coming in on shore for South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, up into Onslow County, Morehead City area. So something for them to watch there. Now, watches and warnings. Cuba, Jamaica, tropical storm warnings right now. Tropical storm warnings for the Keys, or at least for Key West. And you can see the upper Keys have a tropical storm watch. It does include now a tropical storm watch all the way up to southwest Pasco County. It's basically right there in the northern part of Pinellas, so it's Pinellas southward. It's the Anclote River, the mouth of the Anclote southward. It does not include Polk County, Hardy, DeSoto, or Highlands. What this means is that this was issued at 5 o'clock, right? Within 48 hours, so Tuesday afternoon, in this area in yellow, there is the possibility of seeing winds in excess of 40 miles per hour. That's what a tropical storm watch means. Surge can come with that. Sometimes it doesn't come with that, right? And we'll talk about that. But this mainly covers wind in this area all the way down the southwest coast of Florida. Now, let's talk surge real fast. This is a surge watch. So this whole area from basically almost Chiefland, but you see all the way down, Citrus, all the way down to Naples almost. A storm surge watch in effect. The numbers we're thinking are 2 to 3. It's really going to depend on what the shape and structure of this is, because initially the winds are all going to be blowing out of the south and east. Okay, they're going to be blowing in that direction. Then as the center gets out here, some of those winds are going to be blowing up into the bay and up onto the beaches. So initially we're not going to have a big surge issue, but eventually we could. And right now the thinking is about 2 to 3 foot. So let's talk tides, because we've got a new moon, I think Wednesday or Thursday. Full moon, new moon, same thing basically as far as the tides are concerned, kind of pulling on us. So this is for St. Petersburg for Tuesday into early Wednesday morning. Now, tomorrow is Monday. If you live in shore acres, especially those areas, if you live along Bay Shore, watch the tide tomorrow afternoon, Monday afternoon, around noon or so is high tide. And that's about 2.3 feet, I think. On Tuesday, it's going to be about 2.4 feet. Not a big difference. But the tide tomorrow, add about 2 feet on top of that, because we're thinking 2 to 3 feet of surge, right? Add 2 to 3 feet on top of what that high tide looks like tomorrow, and that's likely what we're going to have Tuesday afternoon.
So when you see the water, imagine it being 2 feet higher.
Another
It's
2
a
feet
big
higher.
adjustment. Yeah,
That's right. So that's going to be, and I got to say, I talked to a lady on Facebook a couple days ago. She just moved back into her house after Ada, which was the last hurricane, or it was a tropical storm that went by and kind of brushed us last year, right? Remember that? Right at the end of the season. A lot of flooding in shore acres with that. We could be looking at a similar setup, unfortunately, with about 2 to 3 foot. So that's something that we really need to watch there. Now, Recon has been out there. Lakeland Linder, our NOAA Kermit has been flying out there. You see it flying right back there. That was earlier today. We got another one that just came out of Miami. Looks like that's probably, I don't know if that's one of the big ones or if that's the G4 coming out there to kind of fly around the atmosphere out ahead of it. But Recon's been constantly basically in there. That data goes into the models, and it gives us a really good fix on where the center is. Because if you think the center is 100 miles south of where it is and you run a model, that curve is going to end up being different by the time it gets to Tampa. If it's 100 miles further to the north, that curve could potentially put it into South Florida, not into Tampa.
And this data helps them see the structure of the storm. If the low-level center is here and the mid-level center is off-placed, we know it's not a greatly organized at that time
100%.
System as well. So these guys are doing huge work, because it's hard to get data out here in the Caribbean where we don't do weather balloons and things like that.
Yeah, you're relying on buoys, and the buoy network is not all that great. And all that data goes into the model, and that's data that we know, right? So initially, it's just taking in some buoy data, temperature data, wind data on the islands. But when you get a plane out there, the plane's got all kinds of wind data, it's got pressure data throughout, and that now you're starting with a good base for the model to run on.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get the Recon in there, the model resolution usually gets better, or not resolution, but results.
Right, and it's interesting how they do this. It's like, imagine those little, when you go through a bank drive-through and you put the money in a little tube.
Yeah, it is kind of like
It's
that.
what they're doing, and they're called drop-ons, and they have these little tubes, and it actually gets sucked out with the pressure difference when they're ready to drop it, and they drop it down into the storm on a little parachute, and it's sending data instantly, immediately, as that falls through the storm. So really interesting, and like Bobby said, then that goes to the National Hurricane Center for the models, and we're seeing, Bobby's seeing this data plot live right now as they fly through. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is really cool. Now, the pressure's been relatively high. Let's talk models. This is what everybody wants to see, spaghetti models. Now, I know look, this looks promising for us, right? But most of them are really out in here, okay? And so this is still where the Hurricane Center is kind of middle of the run here, because they've got it almost coming right over Pinellas County.
You know, and you've seen a lot of these, Bobby. This cone by the Hurricane Center really has been pretty consistent through this, hasn't it?
Yeah, they try not to shift a whole lot.
Yeah.
Especially in days 4 and 5. Days 4 and 5, I think it's 175 to 200 mile off. Right now, days 3 is about 90 to about 125 miles off. That means if they say the center is here, they think it's going to be here, it could be 90 miles away. It's about 120 miles across the whole state. So literally, it's still at this point could end up being on the East Coast or states with almost to the west.
And think about it like this. You were talking about in a smaller storm, the worst weather could be in a 10-mile radius. So trying to figure out where that's going to be this far out, it's a very difficult forecast.
Right, exactly right. Here's where we think the storm is going to be somewhere in here by Monday morning, trying to come off of Cuba. What you're looking at is wind shear. And you see all this coming in right here? That's going to sit here. That is going to keep this, hopefully, from trying to strengthen as it comes back out into this area, right? So Monday, it's going to pop off of Cuba. We really need to see what it looks like right in here. That's the key for our forecast. How strong, how organized is it after it went over some of the mountains of Cuba, over the landmass? And then what's the track at that particular point? Is it coming more north, make landfall earlier, or is it coming back out over the water? What we think now is that it's coming back out over the water and then coming back up towards Pinellas County and then curving up. All right, so what does the atmosphere look ahead of it? That's why I'm showing you this shear. We do think there'll be some shear on it. So if you do end up with a storm right here, the shear is going to blow a lot of the moisture over here. So at this point, we're going to get the rain from it for sure. How much wind depends on the structure, how organized it can get. Wind and how much tells us how much surge we're going to get. So that's why these numbers are kind of preliminary at this particular point.
Also, those winds, Bobby, kind of keep it from going too far north. You see how they kind of would make that turn to the northeast, and you saw that clearly with that.
So here's where the low, we think the storm will be 2 o'clock on Tuesday, right in here. It's got shear blowing on that side, not good for the storm. It's got a lot of shears coming in from the south. I think there'll be some westerly shear at a different level as well. So this, number one, couple things. This is going to help it move by pretty quickly. That'll reduce overall rainfall amounts. That'll reduce the amount of time that we have to deal with the storm. We're thinking Tuesday through early Wednesday morning, sunrise Wednesday morning. And it's probably Tuesday afternoon, but the timing might change just a little bit, so Tuesday afternoon through early Wednesday morning. I'm going to run this out to about 9 p.m. on Wednesday, and it's somewhere up in here. I mean, it's not even showing up very well. This is the shear track anyways. Now, probability for tropical storm force winds, that's winds of 40 miles per hour or higher. Most likely, arrival time. You see this up here? Most likely. I'm going to show you that. Well, let's go ahead and put that on. Oh, it's not showing up. We're thinking around 8 o'clock. Was that 8 p.m.?
8 p.m. was the most
on
likely.
Tuesday is the most likely. Right now, we've got about a 31% chance. This red that you see here in orange will come further up as the storm gets closer.
Yeah.
So these numbers, I don't like the way they do the numbers because it just it's probability.
Not the end result. It's, as it stands right now, right?
Yeah, we're assuming the track will do this, right? This is assuming that there could be differences in the track.
Right.
That's where the number comes in. That's why it's a probability. It's not, it'll keep going up, trust me. But 8 p.m., I think it'll be earlier than that, but mainly along the immediate coast. So let's go out to 10 a.m.
I was going to say, think about that, Bobby. That's why the watch was just issued, because that's issued for a 48-hour notice of that. So that lines up pretty well.
Yeah, that's right, because 5 p.m. today, that means we could see the winds
Tuesday.
by 5 p.m. Tuesday. And for planning purposes, you want to plan before that. I mean, get anything that you want to get done around the house, any preps you want to do by Tuesday morning. I would suggest Monday evening before the sun sets is just easier. And then there's a couple last things you may want to do Tuesday morning. The Hurricane Center said it the best. There's no such thing as just a tropical storm. Because many of you have dealt through storms, know that, had a Cat 1 go through, had a Cat 2 go through, not that bad. And then all of a sudden some rinky-dink tropical storm rolls through and you got more trees down. I mean, we've had 3, 4, 5 inches of rainfall just in the last 2 days alone. It's saturated. You probably have a lot of standing water around your house right now. If you put 40-mile-per-hour winds on some trees that are just sitting in that loose soil because it's saturated, you're probably going to put some more trees down. And so it's nothing really, hopefully it stays weak, but right now we have to watch for that possibility. So this is the GFS. And look at these winds, but mainly offshore. And again, this is Tuesday around 10 a.m. There's the center. It's way offshore. So this is just one model run. But the wind direction is really important. Likely going to be a southeasterly wind, which is blowing offshore. So maybe up into Oldsmar and Safety Harbor, you get a little bit more water there, at least initially. But initially, this is not a major storm surge issue. Now, this is Tuesday night at 11 p.m. It's got the center way out here. It's probably right in this area here. But either way, it looks like it's got the higher winds right along the coast, and that's what I would expect. Now, Tampa at 8 miles per hour, I mean, there's a forecast. I'm not buying that. But then you can see it's moving by as we go into Wednesday. Now, up in the Big Bend area, you may have a pretty decent little surge here, at least 2 to 3. There are no watches or warnings right now. The Hurricane Center forecast is something more like this, right? And so you're going to get the highest winds on the right side right here. You will not have onshore winds here if that forecast holds. This is just a model. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Let's talk about the European model. Now, the European has been out east all week. Was it yesterday that it's finally started jiving with the GFS?
A little bit, and today a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of it was always trying to come up South Florida, come out here. Now it's over here. This is where the GFS is pretty close to it. This is 7 in the morning on Tuesday. See the rain's just offshore. Now, look what it does. This is Tuesday. It tries to turn this thing early. Heavy rainfall, Sarasota down to Fort Myers. Highest winds there. There is onshore wind there. That's storm surge issue. Then as we get into overnight, Tuesday night and Wednesday, there's the heavy rainfall over Tampa and inland locations. Highest wind will still be at the coast. But now you've got an onshore wind.
Yeah, and that would take most of Tampa Bay out of the storm surge concern because that'd be farther south.
It'd be really close. Yeah, it'd be really close. It would depend. Tarpon Springs, the wind would be blowing offshore in that case.
Right.
But the devil's in the details with this, and this is so far out in time as far as what we're talking
Can't
about.
put any
right now.
stock in track at this
Yeah.
point. No.
What I'm doing is kind of going over the models and looking at them and saying this is what this might mean, and
Right.
then we're kind of thinking, all right, here's what I think is going to happen. All right, so rainfall. Now, rainfall is not going to be terrible. These yellows and oranges, I mean, that's 3 to 4 inches of rainfall. Now, we're going to see more than that, so we're thinking about 4 to 6. There will be some areas that get more than that, but about 4 to 6 is good, and you can kind of see where the highest will be right here along the immediate coast. So if you live along or west of I-75 more than anything else, you're going to feel more of the impacts than anybody else. And for instance, obviously Polk County, you don't even have a tropical storm watch in effect, which means we do not expect sustained winds of 40 miles per hour in Polk County at this point. But west of there, 30 to 40 mile per hour winds with gusts near 50 miles per hour. Tampa, St. Pete. I know people are going to put their city on here. Pinellas, Largo, just up and down the coast. Anna Maria, Longboat Key,
Tierra Verde,
Reddington Beach, Madeira Beach. This is a broad brush right now, but we're thinking 30 to 40 mile per hour winds with gusts of 50. And I know you're thinking, that ain't bad. Because look, we get a severe thunderstorm warning because we have 58 mile per hour winds or higher. And we get those, right? But this is a broad area that's going to be affected by these winds. And that's just the forecast right now. If it gets a little bit stronger, we're going to have more wind, of course. Storm surge, 2 to 3 feet, as we went over with that. Kind of a broad brush there, but if you, again, Shore Acres, Oldsmar, Safety Harbor, Davis Islands, Harbor Island, downtown Tampa, Bayshore, those areas, the tops of the bay, top of the Northeast Bay, top of the Northwest Bay, the old Tampa Bay area, the wind will maybe be blowing it up into that area.
Someone mentioned Apollo Beach on that side of the bay, same kind of thing.
Yeah, I would Apollo Beach a good 2 to 3 feet as possible.
So,
yeah, I think you'll have less at Apollo Beach than what you would have up at Davis Island, for instance, right? But still, quite a bit of that. I think that's it. Is that where we're at with this point?
I think so. Timing of this, we
Oh yeah, the timing didn't come in.
yeah, not over here yet, but timing is like Bobby mentioned, Tuesday until Wednesday, early Wednesday. I think by midday Wednesday, the latest model runs kind of had it starting to ship north of our region a little bit by Wednesday afternoon or so.
You're right. Right.
But that timing, it's like the track. That's subject to change a great deal because we got to see what the speed is once it clears Cuba tomorrow and starts to move wherever it's going to go. If it does slide to the east in the Atlantic or if it marches up the Gulf, then we'll start to watch that forward speed as well as the re-strengthening that it may or may not do.
Right. Yeah, the water's warm now. The water has been the water is actually slightly cooler here than it is here. Right? There's a big pool of very warm water in here, lots of heat energy for that storm to use. There's very warm water here, but it's not as warm as this water here. So we kind of got that going for us. Plus, look what's happening all up here. I mean, so surface water is going to cool because of all this rain that's happening, right? Now, how much is happening right out here? Not as much, but yeah, the water is going to be cooler a little bit. So
in the Florida Straits, is that a typically cooler area compared to just on the other side of Cuba?
Not the Florida Straits has. So what happens? You have the currents. So you got the current comes up here. The loop current comes down. It comes right up and down the Keys and right up. That's the Gulf Stream. So that's being fed from this warm water, right? And then this loop current is that. If you remember back at the oil spill, you get that loop current that can break off and rotate and go and drift westward all the way across the bay. This water is coming right up into here. In fact, that's what Mother Nature does. It literally vents the tropics. The tropics get more sun. This water gets hotter, and it literally uses currents like the jet stream, the loop current, and the Gulf Stream.
Try to cool things down.
To cool things down.
Yeah.
It's
amazing.
amazing. It really is amazing. But that gives you, so if your storm now is going to cross that white line where that's pretty warm water. So that's why we'll watch it. The Hurricane Center, look, the Hurricane Center is saying 60-mile-per-hour winds as it's approaching the west coast of Florida. Most of the guidance is below that. Most of the models are saying 45, 50-mile-per-hour winds. Okay, and the Hurricane Center is saying, look, we got to kind of hedge our bets here because we don't know. You can't plan for 45-mile-per-hour winds and get 65. That's a big difference, right? So, especially when you're talking surge. And surge not only is dealing with winds, but also has exact shape and rotation. Where is that center? Because, remember with Hurricane Irma, we had a 2.4 negative surge
in the bay. It was
in
amazing.
The bay. I mean, it blew all the water out.
Bay, you remember that the bay
Might even
disappeared?
more than that.
I think it left sea life stranded, right?
Yeah, with a picture of a manatee just sitting there.
Unbelievably.
People walking across the bay.
Weird, yeah.
That's because the winds were blowing offshore.
Right.
But that's also because the storm went right up the spine. This one's coming up here. And so there's going to be the backside portion that's going to be blowing on land.
And, Irma was a major hurricane at one point coming at us as well.
Yeah.
So it had a lot of energy coming in.
Yeah, this is not an Irma.
Hey, somebody asked about Bradenton. Same thing, guys. We can't tell you specifically Bradenton versus, St. Pete at this point. We just got to watch the track and where this thing...
So Sheila brings up a good point. She says, do I need to watch out for tornadoes? And that absolutely you do. So let's say the storm comes right up here, okay? Storm's here, center's here, center's here. What we do, watching this, you basically take this northeast quadrant, just like that. That has the best chance of seeing tornadoes. So I'm going to keep drawing this. And you can imagine, it's basically this whole area right here. So the whole right side of the storm, the leading edge, if you're sitting in Tampa and the center is down here, we'll likely have tornado watches.
That's the worst case scenario for anybody is to be in that quadrant, right?
Right. Yeah.
We call that the dirty side of the storm.
The dirty side. Yeah. But if you're sitting in Tampa and the storm is up here, the tornado threat is up to the north. It's already past you.
Hi, weather dudes. We're definitely going on at least a couple minutes late.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So.
Oh yeah, it's coming up, isn't it?
That's where we're at right now. Yeah, we're getting ready to go on, guys. Golf's going to go at least a little bit late here. I know there's a lot of people at the top, but.
Hey, just very quickly, somebody asked about evacuations. There's no evacuations at this point, and
nothing
unless it
right
really
now.
Intensifies, you just have to watch that. But there's been no talk of evacuations at this point.
So Laura asked, do we need to evacuate and where shall we go? Well, right. Laura, that's part of, you should have that plan. And that's why we say have a plan every year. You need to know what zone you live in. I think we have some of that on our Facebook, our website.
Yeah, if you go to 10tampabay.com/tropics, that's our hurricane headquarters, and there's videos how to help you prepare, how to find your evacuation zone, and everything you need.
So know your zone, know where you live on a map, because we're going to be showing you maps all the time. We'll be on TV with all these maps. We're going to go wall to wall. And then have a plan now. Get that situated tonight if you can. Sheila, check that out, and then say, if you want to evacuate, shelters don't necessarily open unless they're going to do some evacuation. We will let you know. You can actually find a list of shelters depending on what county you live in, right? And search, say, Pinellas County Emergency Management. You'll find it on there as well, too. Hillsborough Emergency Management, Manatee Emergency Management. All those places will have links for you to be able to find where the shelters are going to be. And we're going to put all of that on our Facebook page and on our 10 Tampa Bay page, actually, when that happens. So I advise you to keep an eye on our Facebook page. Watch all our on-air stuff, 6:30 tonight, which is not going to be 6:30 tonight.
6:30-ish.
Certainly at 11 o'clock tonight, we'll have the very latest there. I do not know of any evacuation orders at this particular point.
But also, if you have pets, figure out what you're going to do with them as well, because if you're going to try to find a shelter, not all shelters take pets, so there's a lot to think about before the storm gets here. And if you have that all planned out before it gets here, it just takes stress away, and you can just do what you got to do.
Because there's always something that you're going to forget, but if you've got most of it already taken care of, it's so much easier. So much easier. Games, toys for the kids, medications, all that good stuff. We've got a whole list of things to do. But that's we of course we don't have any evacuations that we know of at this particular point. I would not be surprised if they were to issue a voluntary level 1, which means that you're in the lowest areas, the lowest zones that are there, just in case. Inverness is fine, Roseanne. No issues there, of course. Tampa area is right under the eye of the hurricane. Yeah, Maria, it looks like it is going to come pretty close to us. Now, we say the eye, it's not going to be like what we've seen before. At least we hope it's not, right? It's not looking like it's going to be a well-structured eye with really high winds near the center.
And it's not forecast to be a hurricane at this point. Not that we can rule that out, but we don't expect that right now.
Joe says he's riding it out. Now, look, what we tell people is stay home. Ride it out, absolutely. But if you are asked to evacuate, please do so. And don't go 100 miles. You don't need to go to Orlando. You don't need to go to Georgia. You need to go tens of miles. If you're in Pinellas, you need to go to northeastern Hillsborough, go to eastern Hillsborough, or go to central Pasco, right? Just get up and out of the way of water. So what we say is run from the water and hide from the wind. We're all going to get some wind, especially along the coast, not as much inland. But storm surge, you're not getting storm surge in Plant City. So you don't need to worry about that.
Hey, when do you think about hurricane shutters?
So would I put up my hurricane shutters for this? I would not. But it all depends on your situation. Southeast winds will be rather strong through this storm. If you've got trees, if you've got things on the southeast side of your house that could potentially blow into your windows and things like that.
I'll give you an example. In my neighborhood, I live in a place where it's a new neighborhood and they're still building houses like crazy around us. There's a lot of loose construction items and stuff. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, that will be interesting. I went around today and tucked in lanai furniture, patio furniture, and all this stuff. Kind of put it back in a little bar that's kind of a protected area. Things that could blow around. We've got some sliding glass doors and windows. Just imagine what could blow into that and break it in the middle of a storm. You don't want that, right? So those are the types of things that you want to be kind of keeping up right now. Everybody's got flags out today. Want to maybe bring them in tomorrow, right? Because those things would kind of break off, that type of thing.
Remember, the big winds, we're thinking the earliest probably Tuesday evening.
Yeah.
Maybe earlier in the day Tuesday, but sometime Tuesday.
I would think Tuesday afternoon. Plan on that, just because you want to be prepared beforehand and not later, not caught.
That's true.
Think it can gain strength before entering Florida. Thelma Lee, there is a small chance for that to happen. Right now, it's not exactly forecast, but it is forecast to maintain strength as it comes off of Cuba, so we're going to have to watch that. Chantel, happy 4th of July to you as well. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, any other questions? Don't forget, my Facebook page is Bobby Deskin's Weather. I do a lot of the videos. Well, I do them on my page too, but I do them for the 10 Tampa Bay page. But I post a lot of other things to my Facebook page. So that's Bobby Deskin's Weather. You can like it and follow it. And Rick Kirby, what's yours, Rick?
Rick Kirby, so RickKearbey.
Get his as well.
Yeah, you can find me. You can misspell my name and you still find me.
And
out
what's
there.
our 10 Weather Network? That's a great Facebook page that we have. I really encourage you to sign up for that. It's private, but we'll let you in. I just have to manually let you in. But that's a great place for you to share your pictures and video through the storm. And anytime during the year. We got a great group that's there already, and they're always posting cool pictures and video of
Yeah.
what it's like at their house. Through this storm, we'll have folks watching that. And so it'll be a great way to get your information out there. And we love to see what's happening in your neighborhood. Because
It's the 10 Tampa Bay Weather Network.
yeah, let's do this. Let's show that up right there.
Don't show 'em my cell phone number, Bobby.
No, there's a cell
I'm kidding.
phone number. I was like, what? But that's it. So go onto there, share that with your friends as well too, because we'd like to get
Yeah.
more the merrier in there.
Yeah, and the more you share, the more we can share with everybody else. And sometimes that's important because we can show people what's happening or what has happened and what might be in store for you next.
Yeah. Okay, guys, that's it. Might be doing another one later this evening. There's not going to be a big change, I don't think, at 8 o'clock. It certainly won't be a track update until 11 p.m. this evening. And, of course, we'll have that for you on air and online. All right?